Today on Have You Played? It's the obligatory year-end best list episode. That's right, we're going over Hidden Machine's best and worst games played in 2020. Ready or not, it's game time. And now, two men who really like to move it, your hosts, Andrew Taylor and Matt Hall.
What's up, Burger Boys? Get ready to chow down on a brand new episode of Have You Played? My name is Andrew.
My name is Matt.
Boy, Matt, it's been a crazy year, let me tell you. 2020 has been pretty crazy. It's crazy, hasn't it been?
It's been one of the best years of my life, to be honest. I feel very awkward saying that, but everything's been going really good for me.
It has been very tough, but thank goodness we have the sheltering warmth of video games to distract us from the burning dumpster fires that we are surrounded by in everyday life.
That's true. We've each picked our top 5 games we played in 2020, and if you stick around to the end of the episode, we'll also let you know what the worst game we played was in 2020.
Man. I wonder what it's gonna be. But Matt, let's start with my top 5 games I played in 2020.
Okay.
Number 5.
Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U. With the recent release of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, I was inspired to dive back into the original Hyrule Warriors game for Wii U. Yeah, I actually have a Wii U. I haven't played other Warriors titles, but the idea is that you were a powerful hero and you take on hordes of enemies while capturing bases and completing other objectives in each mission. The story is a universe-hopping adventure that finds a clever way to connect almost every past Zelda title into one cohesive world, and the combat is very cathartic. To be honest, this might be my new favorite Zelda game.
Number 4.
Pikmin. Pikmin was such a little joy to play this year. It's a story of a man crash-landed on a mysterious planet, and with limited resources, he must use the help of these obedient plant-like creatures to find the parts of a ship and repair it. It's incredibly atmospheric, funny, and even kind of ominous. The levels are creative and very well thought out, and even as somebody that doesn't really play a lot of games that are similar to Pikmin, I really could not put it down.
Wow, those games look terrible.
They're 2 really good games that I played this year, Matt.
Well, I don't believe you at all, but let's see if you can change my mind with number 3.
Number 3.
Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. War. Dawn of War was a really fun jump back in time for me this year. Taking many cues from Warcraft and similar RTS games, Dawn of War adds its own 40k flavoring into an enormous game. With multiple factions to control, online multiplayer, tons of DLC, and customizable armies, there's tons of war to be had. Each faction plays exactly how they are depicted in the 40k lore, which, if you're not familiar, is totally insane, and I loved every minute of it.
We's all gonna die! Number 2.
Killing Floor 2. What a sequel! Fans of the original Killing Floor, which had some criticisms of being a, quote, just another zombie killing game, were blown away by this new entry. The graphics received an immense overhaul, there's new characters with new costumes, there's a plethora of new weapons and maps, perk classes are well designed and fun to play and level up, and it's such a good zombie killing time. This has become my go-to zombie killing title. One thing I'm really thankful for is that despite it being a team-focused game, playing solo is definitely viable and fun. The difficulty scales very well, and the different perks and party configurations really create for an interesting and always new gameplay experience. My 2 favorite perks are the Medic Healer perk, where you shoot healing darts at your friends, just like in real life, and the Berserker melee class that is incredibly nuanced and engaging. Usually melee in these games is just a button you can hit if you're out of ammo, but in Killing Floor 2, it's a full-fledged combat system with blocking, dodging, parrying, and tons of cool weapons to take the baddies out with. The game is still receiving big updates and new content regularly, so I'd highly recommend you go check it out.
What a great list. 4 games that you played in 2020 that you think are some of the best. Before we hear your number 1 pick, I have to ask, Do you have any honorable mentions?
I have a couple honorable mentions. I'd like to mention Mother Russia Bleeds, which is something that you and I played together on the channel.
That game rips.
It was so good that we actually played all the way through it. Warhammer Vermintide 2, which just got a huge update, super awesome. The Mega Man Zero collection that we haven't talked about in the show just yet. And The Binding of Isaac, which is another game show, which is a game show that we played on the show.
And there's probably a good 76 Binding of Isaac videos on the channel if you go back.
So you can go check those out after you listen to my #1 game of 20 that I played in 2020.
#1 game Andrew played in 2020.
Number 1.
Deep Rock Galactic. I do not know where to begin with this game. Deep Rock blends first-person survival, exploration, resource mining, party dynamics, problem solving, treasure finding, beer drinking, combat, tower defense, RPG leveling, gear upgrades, and so much more in this roguelike, addictive, never-ending behemoth of a game. I really love fantasy dwarves, especially when they're more than just like the beer-drinking buffoons, but also when they're the beer-drinking buffoons. So it's really like the devs scanned my brain and created the perfect game for me. Basically, you choose one of multiple customizable classes of Space Dwarf to be sent solo or with a group of friends deep into the depths of a distant planet to mine for resources. Oh, but it's not quite that simple. Each class has their own specific benefits and abilities that play well in a group, yet forces you to be creative in your approach solo, which I love so much. Once on the planet, you will mine for specific elements outlined in the mission, but you will also find additional elements like gold and others that you can use for upgrades. Unfortunately, like I said, it's easier said than done, because these planets, while being filled with harmful obstacles like lava and radiation, are also inhabited by native alien bug creatures that you will have to fight off using your arsenal of dwarfy weaponry. Cannons, shotguns, lasers, machine guns, they have it all. Once you have the required amount of resources mined, you call for evac and must race back to your ship to be extracted, and if you miss the boat, it's over. There's so much to cover in this game. It's so enormous with its crafting and customization, there's just so much to love. On a side note, I found this game right when lockdowns began and things were starting to change, and it was really nice to be able to just focus on swinging my pickaxe, smashing aliens, and drinking the finest dwarven ale. Deep Rock Galactic has become one of my favorite games of all time, and is being updated and improved rapidly. I literally can't even keep up with it. Please go check it out, rock and stone.
Wow. Deep Rock Galactic. I have not played this game still. I keep thinking about trying it, but then I just don't.
Did you have any questions? What do you want to know about Deep Rock Galactic? Because I know.
Well,
Probably.
is it scary?
It's very scary.
I have a big fear of being caught in a cave. Have you been in a cave in real life?
I've never been in a real cave.
I've been in several caves and caverns. I don't really know the difference. Maybe they're the same thing.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's like a size classification.
Probably is. We should look it up.
But I've always had a fear of being stuck in a cave, and the idea of being on a mining expedition is legitimately terrifying to me.
I think that's part of the appeal of Deep Rock Galactic. I spent most of my time playing solo, which is very odd. Like most people, it's intended to be played. I don't know. I would say it's intended to be played with a group because the group dynamics. Each character does bring something else to the table, but they really optimize it that playing solo is totally workable. Everything scales and it works really well. And yeah, that kind of isolation of being alone in a cave with just monsters and your like 2 robot companions is very compelling. And there are moments where I went like, look, when I didn't realize there was creeps coming up behind me. But it's just so good. It blends Minecraft and there's survival, exploration elements, and it's just so good. I can't explain it. I think you should really try it.
You think everyone should try it?
I think everyone should try it.
Well, I have feelings about games too, Andrew. In fact, there are, I'd say, 5 games that I played this year that I would say were exceptional, and I've put together a little video package going over each one in great detail.
Well, we already did mine, so.
All right, so let's check out my list. Here's my top 5 picks of games I played in 2020.
If we have to look at that.
We do.
Number 5.
I had really high hopes for this latest entry in the Tony Hawk series. I wound up pre-ordering the game, which came with a very brief demo, and I played the hell out of that demo. Back on the N64, I put in more hours than I could ever count on the original Tony Hawk 1 and 2. This remake does a great job of capturing what worked about the original, tweaking it ever so slightly, and presenting it to a whole new generation of gamers. The most crucial thing for me here is that they got the controls just right. The original Tony Hawk games were very easy to pick up and play, and they were just a blast. I have a friend who played a lot of Tony Hawk 2 when it first came out, but hasn't really played video games much since that time. He was able to pick up the controller and immediately start racking up insane combos. It was like riding a bike. The controls just came right back to him immediately, effortlessly. That should be a testament to how well they nailed the controls on this remake. There's a bunch of little details and Easter eggs and quality of life improvements made, but the point is the game is just fun to play. There's a lot of games like The Witcher 3 or Red Dead 2 that are awesome games, but they take a pretty big investment to get anything out of. That's why I really appreciate where I can find a game like this Tony Hawk remake where I can play it for 5 minutes and still have a great time. That's a rare quality these days, and that's a big reason why it wound up on my list for 2020.
Number 4.
In many ways, this is a perfect game for me. Relatively short, at least by today's standards, with intuitive, unique mechanics, a fully realized atmosphere and visual style, and an engaging, well-paced story. You play as a monster who's making their way through some sort of military research facility. As you progress, you become larger and stronger, and your abilities begin to expand. I'm really picky when it comes to Metroidvania-type games, but exploring this world and even retreading old areas never felt boring or frustrating to me. Throughout the game, you encounter flashback sequences that play a little bit like Flashback. Everything about this game feels well-rounded and polished. If the premise of becoming an amorphous, all-powerful, flesh-devouring monster interests you in any way, pick up Carrion.
Wow. You know, Matt, I remember playing that game as a kid, but I don't remember Tony Hawk looking like a giant red monster.
Well, no, memory can be very faulty sometimes. Anyway, let's carry on my list with number 3.
Number 3.
I picked up Hades while it was still in early access. Even at that point, I couldn't believe how in-depth the game was. There were so many different items, enemies, characters, playstyles, storylines, secrets, and more that I just couldn't believe the game wasn't even finished yet. Hades is winding up on a lot of best of 2020 lists for a reason. I think it can be really common for a procedurally generated roguelite kind of game to half-ass things a little bit. But there's so much attention to detail and so much care put into every aspect of Hades. The love that the creators put into it really shows. It's obviously a game that looks great, but it's also a game that plays great. There's a diverse selection of weapons, each one suited to a different style of play, and every one feels fine-tuned and well-balanced. Whether it's uncovering secrets, unlocking new items, weapons, and areas, or just trying out the different challenges in the game, there are so many different things to bring you back to Hades time and time again. This game rules, and there's also a really great documentary series over on NoClip that covers its entire development and release. Go check it out, and go pick up Hades.
Number 2.
What can I even say about Doom Eternal that hasn't already been said? This game is so intense. It commands a certain style of play from you, and as soon as you get into that rhythm, everything just flows. Any of the minor complaints I had about Doom 2016 have totally been addressed here. There were several times late in the campaign where I'd finish a level and realize that I was tensing up and holding my breath, and I would have to go and take a walk and cool down before going back in to finish the game. I know how stupid that sounds, but the game is really that intense. The concept of hell coming to Earth that was visited in the original Doom 2 is completely realized here, and everything just looks so good. I can't say enough how much I enjoyed playing through this game. If you like shooters at all, Doom Eternal is a must-play.
You know, Matt, I've noticed a trend in these games that you've been playing where you're trying to escape from hell and make amends for things that you've done in the past. I was wondering, is there something that you regret doing in your past that you're trying to get over?
You know, instead of answering that question, I'd like to talk about my honorable mentions.
Ooh, what are they?
Well, some games that didn't quite make the list, but were still very good, were the God of War reboot for PS4, Max Payne, the first one on the PC,
Okay.
and also West of Dead, which I didn't really hear a lot about this year, but a really fun twin stick shooter roguelite game that I really enjoyed. It had a shaky start. I think it needed a little more attention from the devs.
Okay.
But updates have been coming, and the game is really coming into its own.
Wow, Matt, those sound like some pretty crazy games.
Well, they're not crazy, they're just pretty good.
Oh.
Anyway, we're gonna get into my #1 pick for 2020, but don't forget, at the end of the episode, we'll be revealing our worst game of 2020. Stick around.
Number 1.
I put over 125 hours into Yakuza 0. I had never played a Yakuza game before. People kept telling me that they were kind of like a Japanese take on the Grand Theft Auto series. I've never really loved Grand Theft Auto. It's definitely fun, and I've had a blast with the original series and Grand Theft Auto 3, but I seem to always hit a point where a mission is just too frustrating for me to get by, and I kind of give up and forget about it. Aside from both series having to do with the criminal underworld, there really isn't much reason for me to make a direct comparison between Yakuza and Grand Theft Auto. For myself, a much more apt comparison would be Shenmue. Just imagine Shenmue with combat that actually works and a greatly expanded world to explore. I could not believe how in-depth this game became. Things that appeared as simple as a quick minigame would often develop into full quest lines with unique characters, scenarios, game mechanics, and secrets to explore. The main campaign is a masterfully told story. I couldn't believe how invested I was in the characters and what was going on with them. It's clear that time was taken to make sure their backstories actually wove into the world that was being presented to you. Their decisions and motivations, if sometimes unpredictable, still felt very honest and just, again, well written. This game is a great story. But beyond that, the game is tons of fun. There are so many different side quests, and most of them bring you to unique locations with unique characters, unique animations, and often feature game mechanics that are unique to that side mission. There's so many things I want to share about this game, but I don't even know where to start. Again, I put over 125 hours into it. There is a lot of content here. Some of it is so funny, like one of the funniest games I've ever played. However, it also gets so brutally intense and emotional that it's one of the most heart-wrenching games I've ever played. If I had to make any kind of complaint about this game, I would say that at times the combat can feel a bit boring. However, there are several different unique fighting styles to choose from, and you can change styles on the fly. Each one plays very differently, so if you get bored with one, just switch it up and try another. There is so much to discover in this game. Even after 125 hours, there was still areas of the game I had not fully completed or explored. I want to give a huge in-depth analysis of this game, but this really isn't the time or place to do that. All I can say is please, go play Yakuza 0. You can find it on almost any modern platform for $20, and I've seen it on sale for as low as $5 recently. There is really just so much to love about this title. Go, give it a shot.
Well, Matt, I gotta say, game about being in the mafia and doing underground crime stuff and coming out of hell. Are you sure everything's okay?
Yes, I have nothing I'm trying to hide or escape from. And you know, what I'd really like to talk about instead of whatever you're trying to bring up is our worst pick for 2020. What was the worst game Hidden Machine played in this whole ass year?
The worst game that we played in this entire year. We played a lot of games, Matt.
We did play a lot of games.
And I think we have a unified vision as to which one was the worst.
Should we say it at the count of 3?
Let's do it at the count of 3.
So, on 3 or after 3?
We'll do it after 3.
1, 2, 3.
Haunted
Castle.
Mansion. Shit. Castle. I said mansion.
That's right. It's the arcade port, sort of Castlevania.
No, the Haunted Mansion. It's
Mickey's Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, you know, it's got our boy Eddie Murphy. Really not very good game. Yeah, so Haunted, you know more about this game than I do. Haunted Castle.
Yes.
It's not a Castlevania game?
It's a Castlevania game.
Officially?
Yes.
Okay, and it only was in the arcades.
I believe it was only in the arcade, although there may have been home ports. We played a port of the arcade version on the Castlevania collection for Xbox One X, and it was really bad.
Really bad. Like all the things like the people are critical of Castle, say the first Castlevania, where the stiff controls and the difficulty, all of that was present, but not presented in a way that didn't feel like it was just designed to make you die to eat your quarters.
It was extremely cheap, extremely hard to control, and the only thing I can say is the intro cinematic was hilarious.
It was very funny. It had that going for it. But other than that, it was pretty garbage.
Anyway, Andrew, I have to ask you, what have you been playing lately?
Well, you know, I kind of jumped on the hype train and I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077.
I have also been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077.
Really, you know, I've been seeing that a lot of people are saying they have a lot of like glitches and issues with the game and bugs. Have you been seeing any?
I keep reading about a lot of really weird bugs, but I haven't had any at all.
No, mine's been flawless. It's been a really good experience so far. Keanu Reeves. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's been a pretty good game so far.
Pretty good game, but no bugs. I don't know.
No, been real good for me.
Pretty weird that everyone else is having a weird time with that game, but it's good for me.
Good for me too.
In a bad mood.
What's wrong, Matt?
I'm in a bad mood because all the shitty games I had to play.
Oh, yeah. That can really be hard.
Yeah.
Well, I know you really were looking forward to maybe getting that Mario Kart Live home circuit for Christmas, weren't you?
Yeah, but I probably won't get it because it's too expensive and nobody donates to my Patreon anymore.
Well, that is true, but I think I got something that you might like. I might make it cheer you up a little bit.
What is it?
Look at this.
I do like presents. What the fuck is this?
It's the Mario Kart Live home circuit.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really awesome. We should go give it a shot right now.
Okay.
Come on, let's go. That's right, Matt. I made this whole circuit just for you. You can go around in circles as many times as you want.
Okay, I guess.
Well, Andrew, thanks for trying with that really kind Christmas gift. I'm sorry I didn't get you anything.
It's all right. I'm used to it.
Well, you know, one thing that would be a great gift for Andrew would be leaving some comments and letting us know what you think of the show and what games you've been playing lately.
That would really make my Christmas spirit feel good.
And if you want to go the extra mile, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can know every time we upload more gamer content.
For you!